Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome to Research Skills and Methods 2. So in the first year of the programme, in the first year of this strand, you focused on critiquing published research. And in the second year, your focus is on conducting your own research, your own small-scale pilot study. And the focus of that study needs to be on testing and evaluating methods. So I really need to overemphasize the fact that you're not trying to do a miniature version of your envisaged thesis project, because there just isn't the scope for that in a 5,000 words assessment. What you are aiming to do is try out and evaluate for their potential usefulness one or two methods which you anticipate using in your ultimate thesis project. So the key here is to keep it small, right? Keep the focus on methods and keep the scale and scope of the project small. So do think about that when you are coming up with your research question and your research design. The other thing that you'll really need to spend a lot of time working on, thinking about, reading about is research ethics, because that's a huge part of this module and a huge part of what you need to do this year. So let's dive in and take a look at the Moodle. So I'll just share my screen with you now. Okay, so we've got the standard template for this year with your welcome and your handbook, library resources and so on, the various databases you'll have already come across, I hope. Details on your assessments, so we can see that that is your pilot project here, and the full brief is available to you also here, together with previous examples. And you also need to continue with your research skills portfolio. And there are a brief and resources for that there, right? So there's your assessments. And then we move into, as we've said, focus initially on developing a research design, because thinking in detail about your design can help you think about ethics. And then sections on research ethics, which will happen at both the October and November weekends, and then moving into stuff around analysis later on in the year. So the one thing that you really need to get cracking with and try and get a bit of a head start with is the stuff around ethics, because the ethical approval process does take some time, a lot more time than you might imagine. So you want to get going with that pretty much immediately. So as I say, we will have sessions on research ethics in both October and November, thinking about both the practical and sort of philosophical aspects of ethics, but you really need to start engaging with the stuff around research ethics as soon and as much as you can. So if we just open this up, we can see there's detail here about the ethics process. There's preparation to do for October, videos, various resources related to both of the sessions. I'm not going to go through them all now, but there is quite a bit there for you to draw on and to attend to. And the other thing that you really must do is make use of what's on the reading list. So if we go back up to the library and learning resources, here, and we've got a link to your reading list, which I'll open up. And within your reading list, research skills and methods, we've got a section on ethics. So let me just toggle to the section view. Okay, here's the section view, and then research ethics. Okay, so we've got things like, right, starting with the self-researching as an insider, an excellent chapter, ethics and educational research, power relations in qualitative research. So when you submit your request for ethical approval, if you are going to have human participants, what the reviewers scrutinize very carefully is your consideration of things like power relations, and particularly in relation to being an insider researcher, which you are likely to be in one way or another. So at the level you are aiming at, you're not just thinking about research ethics in general, although you do need to do that, but you also need to be thinking about the ethics of being an insider researcher or a practitioner researcher. And you also need to think about the ethics of the particular methods that you're going to use. So in other words, if you're going to trial out interviews, then what are the ethics of interviewing people? Particularly if they are your colleagues or your students or your superiors even, what are the ethics of interviews, or what are the ethics of surveys, or what are the ethics of focus groups? So you really want to get a detailed grasp of research ethics in order to be able to, number one, construct a robust research design. Number two, get approval for your pilot project from the ethics committee. And number three, or from the university, and number three, be able to ensure that you're going to conduct your pilot project in an ethical fashion. Okay, so let me just come out of screen share. So that's a brief introduction to the module. We're thinking about the practicalities of undertaking a small-scale research project. And the thing to really get cracking on is thinking about your research design. In other words, what kind of data you're going to collect, how much, when, who from, and all those kinds of things. And then secondly, what are the associated ethics? And you do want a pretty comprehensive understanding of that. Okay, that's the introduction. See you soon.